Hey beauties, welcome to my first official YouTube video. If you want to know more about how to get the perfect brows, please keep on watching. The most crucial step to perfect brows is to groom them. Make sure that your brows are clean so that you have the perfect canvas to prepare your base. And I'll be using this brow brush to just brush my brow hairs downwards, and I'll be using a razor to groom my brows. I prefer to use a razor when I'm grooming the top half of my brows simply because I feel it just cleans them even more perfect and it just gets everything out of the way, especially because I have very hairy brows as you can see, and I use tweezers for the bottom half of my brows. If you'd like a more in-depth tutorial, please do comment down below and I will give you one that is perfectly in-depth and that will help you snatch them brows. So after trimming the top half of my brows, I'm going to brush them back into the natural form of my brows, and then I'm going to go back with that razor to clearly define and make sure that there are no stray hairs on the brows. As you can see, this is the difference between a groomed brow and one that is untamed. And now I'm going to use a pair of tweezers to clean up the bottom half of my brows. I love tweezers because they clearly get those baby stray hairs. Oh my word, it is painful, but it is definitely worth it. So if the tweezers did not get all of the hair out of the way, I'm going to go back with the razor and just clean up any additional extra hairs that I want to get rid of, and that's it. Grooming your brows is so important because it creates the base and the shape for your brows perfectly. Unlike if you have very hairy brows, you will end up having blocky brows because you have to draw them on and cover up all the stray hairs. But if you just clean them up and groom them well, I promise you your brow game will change completely. Trust me. By the way, grooming your brows is very personal. Not everybody's brows look the same, so please do not compare yours to mine. This is simply just an example, so you also look good this summer, okay? By the way, I use some setting spray and I'm spraying it on a bar of glycerine soap. It is important to use glycerine soap, not any bar of soap. And I'm going to do some soap brows. I'm using the same brow brush that we used before, and I'm just going to use that to tame my brows. Soap is a cheap alternative for brow gel, and I'm going to start by brushing my brow hairs upwards and then I'm going to shape them. I brush my brow hairs upwards first because it is all about definition. I feel that brushing them upwards creates a clean canvas for your brows, and then I'm following the natural shape of my eyebrows. I'm not creating a whole new style, which you totally can, but I feel that it looks more natural when you follow the natural form of your eyebrows. It is important for the bar of soap to be sticky and tacky before you apply any product onto your brows because we are not trying to have a whole bar of foam on our eyebrows. So make sure it is sticky so that the brows stay in place all day long. I promise you your brows won't move, they won't flinch, and they're going to be so defined. And this is what the brows look like, defined, groomed, and clean. Ooh! Now I'm going to be using a brow pencil, and first of all, you need to make sure that it is sharp. There's nothing worse than doing your brows with a blunt brow pencil. It won't work, so trust me. And now I'm just going to follow those brow hairs in the same direction. I'm going to use this brow pencil and create the outline. It's almost like creating or following the stencil of your brows rather, and just creating a shape. I use a brow pencil just to define the arch. Girl, how many times did I say define? Just to define the arch of my brows. I'm very big on arches, so this is why I use a brow pencil. Brow pencils are so easy to use and they are completely affordable, and that is why I prefer using a brow pencil. And also, if you make a mistake, simply go grab a tissue and wipe it away. It's as easy as that. And I'm going to brush my brow hairs upwards and create the bottom arch. As you can see, the bottom of my brow, especially in the beginning, is bald. So I like to go in with a harsh line there just to make them pop and make them stand out. And then I'm going to go over my arch. I really love my arch to pop out and stand. So if you don't like that, you don't need to do the step. You don't need to define your bottom half of your brows. I repeatedly go back in with this brow brush just to make sure that there are no hairs sticking out of the outline of the brows. And this is how we're looking. If you have more sparse brows, I suggest that you go back in with the brow pencil and follow or create brow-like hair strokes by following the natural shape of your brows. Just go over that brow with the same pencil just to fill them in, and then go back in with the brow brush and evenly distribute that product. This is what I mean by distributing that product. Simply go in with the brow brush and make sure that the product has gone through all of the hairs so that there is no one that is out of place. And now for that harsh line we created, I'm going to go in with this brush and simply distribute that product once more upwards because I do not want a harsh line. I'm just going to use this brush to blend that out. Now, as you can see, our brows are far from perfect, and therefore I'm going to use a foundation to clean up these brows. I prefer using a foundation over concealer. And I'll be using this flat brush to cut out and define my brows. And I prefer using a foundation because I feel it blends in easier. You can use a lighter foundation and it will still blend in so easy because it is foundation. I feel it has a better consistency when it comes to dealing with blending out. And I'm going to use this angled brush carefully to clean up my brows. Now, this step is very crucial and important because this is the point where you make sure that your brows look like sisters and not distant cousins. My most important advice is patience. Be patient with yourself. Please don't rush to clean up your brows. You need to be very careful and precise. I can't tell you how to clean up your brows because everybody's brow is different, but all I can tell you is to be patient, and if there are still any hairs that are sticking out, simply go back with that brush, brush them upwards in place so that you can clearly define your arch. And now to clean up the top half of my brows, I'm going to take the foundation a little bit further away from the brow first before I go directly and define the brow. I don't know if you understand, but don't apply product directly near the brow where you're going to clean it up, because then you're going to have a layer or a line of foundation or product directly above your eyebrow, and you don't want that. You want the brow to look as smooth as possible and perfectly blended. So start a little bit far if you understand, and then go downwards. Just blend that foundation downwards to clearly define the top half of your brows. This clip clearly demonstrates what I mean by moving the foundation a little bit further away from the brow before you go in and clean it up precisely. And also at this step, you want to compare both of your brows. Just look in the mirror and see how it looks before you go crazy and define the brows only to find out that they're not looking anything alike. Now this is how our brows are looking. I typically blend the foundation near my nose bridge because I feel it is easier to blend it out that way. And if your foundation is a different color from your natural foundation for your entire face, that just helps it look more seamless. And now I'm going to use some setting spray on this brush and I'm going to blend out that foundation. All the products that I used in this video will be in the description box, so please do check that out. And this is just a flat foundation brush. You can also use a blending sponge, anything that you prefer, but I feel that a brush just goes to all those nitty-gritty corners, and I'm just going to use that to blend my foundation. Now at this point, you can go back with foundation or a lighter concealer to clearly define your brows if that's what you want, but I'm just going to continue to blend that out and compare both of the brows. It is very important to do comparisons just to make sure that you're looking your best. And I don't apply powder over my brows when I'm using a brow pencil. I use powder when I'm using a brow pomade, so just to put that out there. And this is how we're looking. Now, just to be extra, I'm going to apply a little bit of foundation just to make sure that my brows are clearly standing out and separated. I personally have a unibrow, so this is very important for me to define both of my brows separately. And then I'm going to go in with this brush just to make sure that the brows look as natural as possible. But guys, that is the end of this video, beauties. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a big thumbs up and subscribe to my channel so that you get notified every single time I post a new tutorial. Goodbye, beauty. Love you and all the best.